What's up, everybody? I am Patty G with The Patty G Show, here with Julio Melara from Business Report 225 Magazine and InRegister Magazine. We're going to be talking all about how to start a magazine, how to know when to start other magazines, and also just the Baton Rouge area as a whole. But before we get started, big thanks to our sponsors, Triton Stone Group and Falaya Real Estate. And without further ado, welcome Julio.
Hey, it's great to be here.
I'm glad we finally able to make this happen, a year in the making.
Yeah, congratulations. I was thinking back when you first came to see me about a year ago, man. You were just getting your traction, and 83rd episode, man. Kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a wild ride going from my screen porch filming these shows to now having a full-blown production team with Flashbang here at Uncle Earl's.
Hey, you know what? There's an ancient pearl that says, do not despise small beginnings.
That's
right.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
I mean, starting with a phone and now here, we've come a little bit along the way. So what do you do, Julio? Who are you?
Oh, well, every day I make sure that Business Report and 225 and Register Magazine and our other product lines are reaching their audiences. We're developing content, that the sales are coming in. And so as the CEO of our organization, my job is to make sure that all six spokes of the publishing business are working in unison. You know, we have an editorial department, we have an advertising department, but we have a business department, we have a production and design department, we also have a marketing department, and then we have an audience development, and that has become real big now with all of our digital products, our apps that are online, our websites, our email marketing, our sponsored content. So that's my part-time job. My real full-time job is a dad of 3 kids. But that's kind of a quick nutshell.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm going to experience that full-time dad job soon the next upcoming months.
Get ready.
I'm ready. I'm excited. Okay, so you got 6 spokes is how you describe them?
Yeah.
So those 6 spokes are those different departments that you just kind of laid out.
Yep.
So beforehand, you mentioned the 3 different big tiers, the Business Report, 225, and InRegister.
Yeah.
How did you get started with each of those? And maybe let's just go back a little bit. What kind of a kid were you? How'd you grow up and end up doing what you do today?
Well, my father left us when I was 4 years old, so I was raised by a single mom, and my mom was a pistol. My real father was from New York. My mother was from Honduras in Central America, and my mom was my hero. She, she was an amazing lady. She came to this country, and she learned how to speak English by watching The Tonight Show.
Wait, what?
That's how she learned English. Watching The Tonight Show back in the day. Yeah, starting with Johnny Carson. Yep. And
I love that.
And we used to catch a public transit system, but she was amazing because she gave us the gift of belief, and she had an incredible, strong work ethic. And so Mama did not play around. She worked hard, and so we were latchkey kids. So we'd come home, and I knew how to do a lot of things that most kids don't know how to do, that my kids don't know how to do today, okay? Besides cooking, I know how to sew, and I know how to iron, I know how to do a lot of things.
Wow.
But I was extremely fortunate because when I graduated from high school, I didn't have any money to go to school, and so I took out a couple of loans and I worked 2 jobs. So I was working 40, 60 hours a week to put myself through college. And I found a job my sophomore year, actually it was the end of my freshman year, and local business journals, I'm born and raised in New Orleans, local business journals were coming on the scene in the early 1980s, and for $3.35 an hour, that was the minimum wage back in the day. $3.35 an hour.
$3.35.
I was
back
a
in
runner.
the 80s.
This is back in the 80s.
Okay.
83-ish.
Okay.
And I was a courier. That's how I started. I was a courier, and for a local business journal. It was called City Business in New Orleans, and that started my career track because 13 years later, I became executive vice president. And then WWL, the second oldest radio station in America, 50,000 watt clear channel, recruited me, and I was working on my MBA, and they were owned by the Jesuits at that time. And I got to the radio industry But in my second year, I became the top producer. And then the third year, I became the first $1 million producer in the radio industry in Louisiana.
So you were a hustler.
And
you were hustling and
yes,
making it.
Yes, indeed, man. Yes, indeed.
Wow.
Yeah. I was a student. I was very, 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 very driven, and I knew how to work. And and I studied my craft. That's what I try and tell a lot of young people today, man. You got to pay the price. A lot of people want success, but they're not willing to pay the price. They want to make more money, but they're not willing to work hard. And so you can't take out of the system unless you put into it, right?
100%.
And
I feel like they want it too fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right.
They want to get into that success, that end goal from day one.
That's right.
You know, with social media, digital age, we know the unicorns of the business industry, and they just are an overnight success, but everyone I've ever talked to says, it's been years in the making. It's been years of late nights, years of putting in that effort.
It's you know, one of the great tragedies in contemporary living today is short-term thinking. And precisely what you're talking about. I think you got to program your career, your relationships, your investments for long term. Too many people are worried about today and this month, but you got to program your business for the long term if you're going to be truly successful. And so, you know, patience is, you know, they say is a good virtue, but, you know, when you're young, a lot of people don't have it. But I was extremely fortunate. You know, I had a mentor that taught me a lot about business. He filled the gap for the father that I didn't have. So he taught me a lot of business skills. And what was interesting is that after 5 years at WWL, he came back and recruited me. And at that time, he had bought Louisiana Life magazine, New Orleans magazine, and a couple of other, I started St. Charles Avenue. And so I came back and we grew that. We had 2 radio stations, an outdoor billboard company. And so I had the best job. At 29, I had the best job in New Orleans. And that's when I wrote my first book. I wrote my first book then. And
what was it? What's the title of the book?
The first one's called Do You Have the Time for Success?
Okay.
And that little book been translated in 4 languages, sold over 500,000 worldwide. And then I really didn't know what I was doing in that book, but the second book, I really knew what I was doing.
So the first book is the precursor to the real knowledge.
Yeah. Because the second one, It Only Takes Everything You've Got, is the name of the second book. And that one has sold over around 800,000 worldwide over the last 25 years. So it was kind of cool because there was no internet when I first saw, you know, actually the internet had just started coming around. But
Amazon was selling books.
Yeah, that's right. For books a million. That's exactly right. So, and it was really around that time that I came to Baton Rouge. And I came to Baton Rouge to actually buy the business report because I was just a hired gun in New Orleans.
What year are we at right now?
We're in 96, 97. Yep, 96, okay. 97. So that's a little fast forward there.
Right.
Yeah. And so it was in early 97, I was looking to buy something. And I had opportunities actually in Miami and Dallas and Chicago, but I married a woman from Louisiana.
There you go.
So I wasn't going nowhere.
I love it.
So the closest was Baton Rouge, and that's how I kind of connected with the business report. Rolf McAllister, my partner, I tried to buy him. And for 4 weeks, this is an interesting story that very few people know. For 4 weeks, he didn't want anybody in Baton Rouge to know he was thinking about selling. And then I didn't want anybody in New Orleans to know that I was looking at this opportunity. So we would meet at Mitten Dwarfs and have catfish every Wednesday for 4 weeks in a row.
Like for 4 weeks and just talking through the details.
Just talking through the details, getting to know one another, eating catfish, man.
Wow.
And then at the end, you know, he just decided he was young. I mean, we were youngsters. I think I just turned 31 and he was 40. And he goes, man, I'm too young. And then his father had given him seed money to get started. And we ended up putting a deal together and we became partners. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's been a great journey. We grew it. It was just business report.
Right.
It was just business report.
And so what were they doing at the time with the business report?
It was a small company. They had about 24 employees, and that's all we did. Obviously, we had some we used to do the expo and some custom publishing. But at the time, it was a couple of years later on, because I was the publisher of New Orleans Magazine, and we started talking about where do young professionals go for information?
Yeah.
And that's when the birth of 225 took place. And so a lot of people don't know that in 2004, we were having this serious conversation regarding a city mag for young people. See, the college kids had the Tiger Rag and the Reveille, and we called them back the blue-haired people had InRegister and La Vie, and there was another one, I forget what, Social City and all these other ones. But we, kept asking, where do young professionals go to connect and find out what's hot and what's not? And we started asking around, and we did a focus group, and all the right affirmations, were coming through. We did a focus group. And then another thing, as people didn't know how the sausage was made, we decided, we're going to go for this. This is a niche. Everything we do is niches, by the way, right? The Business Report is the Wall Street Journal of Baton Rouge. If you live and work in Baton Rouge, you've got to read the Business Report and Daily Report. Obviously, 225 is a city magazine. Of course, InRegister has its own niche, going to the most affluent homes that are civically engaged in this community, right? And we cover a lot of social events, but since have turned it around into more of a lifestyle in dining and entertaining magazine. But kind of going back to 225, so we were down to two names. It's a true story, because up until that time, you would have never heard of 225. Nobody used 225. It was the area code, though,
and this
right?
is what year?
This is 2004.
2004.
2004.
Okay, so right before Katrina.
That's right.
Okay.
So we are down to two names. It was BR Inc., Brink, with the emphasis on BR, which sounds so funky and so ugly and so stupid today, right? But it was one of the core ones that we had left.
Brink.
And then we had 225. And so it was funny because people, why 225? I go, it's the damn area code.
Yeah,
it's the area code. It's the region that we're going to cover. And so we pulled the trigger on 225. It was one morning coming out of a coffee shop. We did it in my car. We said we're going to go with 225. And then we hired a staff in April. This is very important. April of 2005. We hired Tom Garisco to be the first editor. I hired Jeff Rodell. He was part of our team. I hired Ree Harriman and Nancy Clary to do the advertising side. And out of this little small space, we started working. And what we did in April is we mapped out a plan, and we said we're going to launch in November. We're going to have a November-December issue, and then we start off with the new year, because we wanted to catch some of the retail season, right, for advertising the end of the year. So we started working, and what most people think, as you well know, at the end of August, the beginning of September, Katrina hits.
A lot changed.
And everything, yeah, that's right. Our community was rocked, over 200,000 people into Baton Rouge. And my goodness, we couldn't have timed it better, right? I mean, because the train had already left the station. And so people thought we started 225 because of Katrina, but we were already prepared to launch. And so November came out, and the issue was this big. And our cover story for the very first issue, I'll never forget it, is Baton Rouge ready to become a cosmopolitan city? Because everybody was in town, right? And the Shaw Center had just opened up, and Tsunami had just opened up. So it was like all the timing had come at the perfect time.
Everything just started working together.
That's right. That's exactly
right. It started
right.
just being a big push
That's right.
for the 225 area.
That's exactly right.
Wow. So do y'all still have like an original print of that first issue?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We do. This past year, we celebrated our 15th year anniversary.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's been a game changer for the community. I mean, I can't tell how many people say, "Oh my God, can I borrow 225? We're looking at moving here. We're looking at bringing our kids back. Can we borrow it?" And the mission of 225 that most people don't really know, it's just to really help local people discover the people and the places that make Baton Rouge unique. We've got so much talent in this community.
It's amazing.
There's so many places that people who live in this side of town have never been to this side of town, that live in that side of town have been to this side of town. And so every issue we want to challenge and encourage and inspire people. Get to know the people of Baton Rouge. Get to know the places of Baton Rouge, and so it's been a home run. We've been extremely blessed.
Yeah, You said it perfectly. Baton Rouge kind of after Katrina became that melting pot of everybody that lives here is so unique, so diverse, that there is so much opportunity here. There's so much happening. There's so many people throughout the community that have moved here and stayed here. You know, we got a member of the audience in here tonight from New Jersey who moved down here to Baton Rouge.
I like it, baby.
And is living here and loving it, you know?
Right. Yes.
And it's exciting to me to hear those stories of people saying, oh, because of this, I came to Baton Rouge. Because of X, Y, and Z, I came to Baton Rouge. And then you're at the point where, okay, now how do we get that because of out and let people know that that's here, you know? And 225, I think, is a great way to have that avenue to do that. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's we won national awards and you know, we got a great team and they're extremely passionate about Baton Rouge. So it makes it's hard work that becomes easy when you love what you're doing and covering the people and the places that impact your life every day.
Yeah, and that's for any entrepreneur, any business owner.
That's right.
Loving the process.
That's
right. If you all you're worried about is that end issue, that end print, but you don't love all that in between, the countless edits, the countless revisions, the countless, adjust this angle, change the coloring on this, and then you get to see the final product, you'll lose yourself.
That's exactly right.
And you'll get burned out and you won't be here 50 years later, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So when you came onto the business report, that's all that they were doing. How did y'all kind of go about saying, okay, now we need to make that leap? How do you know when to take that leap to add on something that, for all you know, could have gone sideways?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, you know, one, you think about scaling your business. Two, I think that, you know, everything we've always done was organic growth, right? And you know, we're just entrepreneurs, right? We're not, the difference between entrepreneurs and inventors is that an inventor will invent a product and go try and find a market. But an entrepreneur will find a market and then create the solution or the product to fill that market. And so with 225, we saw a market opportunity and we filled that gap, that void. We knew we wanted to continue to grow. And so we grew with events. A lot of people don't know we started Sunday in the Park. A lot of people don't know we brought down the fur ball down here from Chicago. A lot of people don't know we started the corporate cup run. I mean, we've sold these and given them off to other organizations over the year because that's not primarily what we do. But we like to innovate. Ideas are the currency of the future, so we're constantly thinking about new ways and new ideas. And so, you know, we knew we need to continue to grow, and so we love niches, right? Everything we do is niches. And so the next niche that we saw is InRegister. You know, I remember reading in The Economist, there was a headline, forget about China and India. The next economic boom is women. And when I read the article, it talked about the spending power of women. It talked about the influence of women. It talked about women in the workplace. And I go, you know what? Let's work in that niche. Let's own that niche. And so InRegister was a great segue there because, you know, the majority of the subscribers were women in affluent households with philanthropic and community engagement flows. And then we did some surveys, and we didn't just want it to be a social magazine. We wanted to add some content to it, right? And so we did that, and we found out that homes, interior homes, outdoor living, all these aspects of quality of life were very important to our readers. So we started adding that content, and it's become a beautiful product. I could take that product in Dallas, Atlanta. You can put it up against any of those, Charlotte, San Diego, and we will easily compete, if not be better in some cases.
Really?
Yes.
So taking that same product and putting it into those markets.
Yes.
Is there a plan down there to make that happen?
No, you know, so, you know, the way we look at it is that, you know, the national news and, you know, all that stuff is a commodity. You can get anywhere. We want to be just local. And so everything that we cover in Business Report, everything we cover in 225, everything we cover in Register, it's all about local or regional, right? And so, you know, we've decided that that's going to be our wheelhouse. And, you know, we've had many opportunities. We've had people ask us to come to New Orleans, to Lafayette, to Shreveport. But this is a very people-intense business.
Of course, it's all about relationships too.
That's right, and it's hard. I mean, it can be sexy at the outside, but it's hard. No, you know, Most people don't see the sausage being made.
Exactly. They don't see the hours sitting with a potential new client saying, okay, here's the numbers, and all it is numbers, numbers, numbers. And then they say, okay, now let's look at the content.
Yeah.
How can we achieve those numbers? How do we keep those readers going back to picking up that next issue? How do we keep them wanting more while still remaining local? Because generally, if you look at a business over time, they start to expand their reach, their demographic, their size starts to spread out. But intentionally, staying within an area is unique, and you got to craft and really mold that business model to be successful.
Yeah, very true. Look, I had, because we do have some other spinoff entities out here, out of Business Report. We do I founded the Executive Leadership Academy in 2017, and we have rising C-level people, small business owners that they don't have time to go get an MBA, but they're looking for real world training on leadership. Any community, any company, any country is only as good as its leadership. So we put together a real special curriculum, and one of the features is that every session that we have, I bring in a CEO the way you brought me here, and I interview them, and I've got specific questions. And I had Todd Graves on twice because he does an incredible job on culture. But I even asked him, why don't you expand your menu? And I'll never forget, he said, I can't tell you how many different consultants I've had, add smoothies, add salads, add this, add that. He goes, nope, one love. And $2 billion later, chicken fingers, baby. And it's true.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for the power of focus. When you're scaling a business, you have finite resources, right? Human capital, time, energy. And so, we even though we do and we innovate off of our brands, we try and stay within that niche. And it's really to service those people that we're already servicing, because we want to continue to build equity and cultivate the relationship with our audience.
100%.
Most retailers only have one client. That's the person that walks into the door. We've got two. I've got to make sure that we're delivering content. And it doesn't matter if it's the magazine, if it's digital, if it's email, if it's through live event, that the content is good, and so that I can have my advertisers, right? And so we've got advertisers we got to please. And so I got to make sure we have the eyeballs so that I can deliver the advertisers what we're promising them. So it's a challenge, but it's a wonderful business.
Yeah, it's true. The content has to be good enough to keep them coming back. Because if you have a poor article or a poor series of articles, they're just going to, they've gone down, this writer, this editor, they've stopped caring.
That's right.
But you got to have that continued excellence, that continued growth, and say, oh, I got to come back. I got to come back. I got to come back.
That's right.
So you just spoke of one other little function y'all have kind of started going into, the CEO Leadership Academy. What is that? What does that do?
So what we started doing is, and actually I want to give credit where credit's due. I was in San Diego at a national conference, and this guy in Chicago started, and I was fascinated by it. So I flew up to Chicago and I looked at what they were doing, and I said, I could bring this back to Louisiana, and I think we can make it better. And so they were just focusing on corporations. And in Chicago, you've got the critical mass for that. Down here, we have finite corporations because our economy runs primarily small business, right?
Yeah, it's all small.
So what we did, it's 5 Friday course, 5 Fridays, that's all it is. And for a fee, the first day it's all day. Then there's 4 other sessions that are 8 a.m. to 2:30. And there's a big leadership Hogan assessment, which is kind of the Mercedes-Benz of personal leadership assessment. You have a 1-hour coaching session. It's very painful for most people, but very profitable.
Yeah. It's hard to sit and have someone say, here are your flaws.
Oh yeah. But if you want to be a great leader, you got to be aware, right? You got to be aware. And so we teach real world information. And so we look at everything from conflict resolution to how to lead and manage multi-generational workforce, right? Gen Zs, millennials, baby boomers, Gen Xs.
They all want different things.
And they're motivated differently,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So you've got to understand that. To how to create a culture of excellence. I can walk into a business and I can smell culture. I mean, you could smell if it's excellent, if it's flawed. I mean, and so for 5 Fridays, we try and deposit as fast as we can, as much as we can. And there's case studies and they break out. But one of the beautiful things about, we only accept 30 people. 30 people at a time, right? Because we get intimate. And they're from different backgrounds. Usually, I mean, I've had CEOs, I've had VPs, I've had people that are small business owners that go, oh my God, my company's growing and I need help. I now realize I need help,
Right.
leading people,
We're
managing
no longer
people.
just a mom and pop
That's
shop.
exactly right. And so it's been great. We're getting ready. I now have 300 alumni. So
Wow.
we've been through our 10 sessions, and we're actually looking at doing a 2.0 version now. I've got that pent-up demand. But what I was going to say is that probably it's been very satisfying on our exit surveys what people got out of it. But the networking that's gone on between those people has been phenomenal. New friendships, new customers. We even had a husband-wife dude that came into the session. So
Was it marriage counseling or business counseling?
It's a good question. I got to ask him. Yeah. So it's been real cool, very very fulfilling because, we want to play a small role. Again, I want to go back to this context of leadership. Any city, any community, any company is only as good as its leadership. And so your company, your organization will only get better if you get better. And
right.
So we can't be satisfied. We got to continue to grow and evolve as leaders.
Yeah, and you can only do that with your business by getting that education, right?
Yep.
If you don't seek it out, whether it be through books or talking with people, getting a mentor, you're going to get stuck in a rut. And you're going to be, just banging your head against the wall trying to figure out how to get out. And then having that extra step of, hey, I need help.
Well, and you're right, because even in these breakouts that we have within the curriculum, they learn from each other just as much as they're learning from the facilitators
100%.
and the speakers.
It's that collaboration.
That's right.
It's that round table. Hey, throw ideas out. No, nothing's off the table, right?
That's right.
Nothing's a bad idea. Let's hash it out. Let's figure out what's going to work.
That's exactly right.
So then on the content side of the business, you've got these 3 different magazines, but then you've also got the 4th one, the 10-12 industry. But across all those, you said, the content is so important. How is it that y'all are able to kind of cultivate and continuously create that content in such a high regard that people always are seeking it out?
Yeah. Talent. I mean, we are extremely fortunate. We got great talent from, on the B2B side, from J.R. Ball and Stephanie Regal to Jen Termo, our editor, Kelly Bozeman, and Register. We've got great editors. Our editorial leader, Penny Font. I mean, again, and this because we've talked about it, but, our companies are only as good as our people, right?
Right.
And they have such high standards, and they live our core values in our company. And so, we have a little saying around our place that, I know the world says don't sweat the details, but around our place, we sweat the details,
yeah.
right? And, it's interesting because over the years, a lot of people have their own bent regarding, the media in today's world. But whenever I get a call from somebody complaining about anything, the first thing I do is, was anything inaccurate, right? And invariably, 99.9% of the time, they go, no, but. No, but oh, okay. So you didn't like the way, and again, it's funny because over the years, what you learn, and this is kind of a sad state of our world, and we do the Business Awards and Hall of Fame. We do the top
right.
40 and the 40. We celebrate the best of 225. All these awards where we recognize success, we recognize achievement, and we honor all these people. Those don't pull as good as bad news.
Yes.
When somebody's getting fired, when somebody's going out of business, I mean, it's just amazing.
People will absorb and, flock towards a bad news, bad press, bad situation. But when you have the good news and you celebrate the greatest of things, it performs well,
right?
But it just underperforms
right.
the bad news.
That's
They
right.
love that juicy gossip.
Yes.
Oh, what did this person do?
Yes.
What was so bad about that?
So true.
They love to read it and they love to absorb it. And it's like, why? Why do we feel we want to find something bad to then go and read about it and learn about it and share it? Why are we looking at that? Why are we looking at, good things? And why are we trying to share the positive side of life?
I just read in this book, the psychologist did this research. He said negative news is 10 times more impactful than positive news. And it travels just as fast.
Yeah.
Right? Way faster. Negative news spreads quicker than positive. And it just irks the what out of me because everything I live my life with. I'm a half full guy, man.
Right.
And but that's just kind of the world we live in.
Yeah. Is it like, do we have this sense that we want to feel a little bit better? And so by reading something bad, it kind of maybe subconsciously lifts us up a little bit?
I think that's why Jerry Springer has such a high ratings.
Yeah. People love that show. Don't get me wrong. It's entertaining to watch what happens on there. But it's like, why can't we watch something, positive
That's
and
right.
lighthearted
That's right.
and, good news spreading throughout the community?
Yeah, that's right.
Which I love what y'all kind of started to do with the 40 under 40, the best of 225. How did that kind of spring about within the organization to say, hey, let's start awarding some people for doing great in the community?
Yeah. Well, the top 40 and the 40, I don't even know which one of our peers nationally, but we try and look at best practices around the country. And if they fit Baton Rouge, if they fit our mission, then we try and emulate some of those things. And so we're now, Rolf and I were talking about, we now have 1,000 alumni in top 40 under 40.
Wow.
We've been doing it since the late 1990s, mid 1990s, something like that. And again, it's really to celebrate achievement, right? Our business, I love them all. As a matter of fact, next week we're celebrating our Business Report's 2021 Influential Women in Business. We're honoring 9 distinguished ladies in our community, recognize their accomplishments, both professionally and civically. And it's interesting because, when you're working hard and you're a leader, stuff is just expected of you. Your employees expect it, your family expects it, everybody expects it, right? So it's nice to get that recognition, And what's interesting is that we're kind of like a hub. We typically have a blue ribbon panel of past recipients that actually do the voting. Because I want to kind of stay out of it, and so these people recognize and past recipients are part of the voting process. And same thing with top 40 under 40. I will tell you that over the last 5 years, man, the nominations, it's gotten tougher and tougher because we'll have 300 to 400 nominations, and we got to cull it down to 40 people, right? That year. So, I think people really, of course, many people put that on their resume, on their bios and all that. But even our Business Awards and Hall of Fame, which is really one of my favorite because we take some iconic people in our business community and we induct them into the Business Hall of Fame. And it's their one time where they get to thank their employees, their vendors, their customers, their spouses, and their children for the sacrifices that got them to this level of success. So it's really, really cool. It's a special night. We just had a great one a couple of weeks back, and those always, man, people, you laugh and you cry. I mean, you see the journey of these people, their ups and downs, their failures, and the successes, and how they bounce back. And so it's inspiring.
Yeah, and then the best part is they're all local.
That's right.
All local. You can see them shopping in the grocery store. I think that's the one of the best parts about it is like, oh, I know that person. I'm friends with that person. It's like I went through the Business Report's 40 under 40. I was like, hang on, I know like 5 or 6 of these people on a personal level, not just heard of their names.
That's
like
right.
We go to grab drinks, like we get dinner together. Like I know these people.
So true.
And seeing that in the community is great because it's that local supporting local aspect of it that I love so much.
Yeah.
But on the production side of the content and getting that out there, the magazines, and when people think of a magazine, they think of mostly paper, a tangible print magazine. How has that kind of shifted over the years from the 80s when you came on board to the 2021 culture we're living in where everything that I need is right here? Yeah,
no, it's definitely shifted tremendously. But I would say this, when television came on the scene, I like history. I like history and I like biographies. When television came on the scene, they said radio's dead. Radio's out of business. And what radio had to do is what all of us are having to do is you reinvent yourself, right? Nobody would have pictured radio the way it is today with, pay radio, what is it?
XM radio.
Yeah, XM radio, Zero
on
XM,
demand,
on demand,
Spotify,
all
Pandora.
of that stuff, right? Yeah, And so I think the same thing, there's a big difference with saying the word print and magazine. So, and I'll give you an example. Our least impacted magazine, don't get me wrong, we were impacted during COVID, but it's been amazing because in order for you to look at a home spread, and I just look at the way my wife was looking at interiors. I mean, she wants to see the whole thing, not on the little phone and trying to, and there's a feel to it. And so I will tell you, I'm going to predict, if print would have been dead, the dailies would have been out of business already. Okay, and which I actually thought that was going to happen, but I don't think. I think prints or magazines are reinventing themselves, because what's happened is that it's been niches between niches between niches. And so let me give you an example. It ended up happening that it was Sports Illustrated was the main magazine, right? Then let's try a 24-hour TV channel called ESPN. It's never going to work. Who wants sports 24 hours, right? But now you have the tennis channel, right? Now you have the golf channel, right?
Yeah.
So it's niches within niches within niches. And what we've seen, as a matter of fact, in 2019, I believe I saw, there were 154 new magazines launched in North America.
Really?
And there were niches within niches, right? When we're all going digital, right? When obviously digital's going like this. And so what I'm saying is that I think that there's a niche for the magazines. I think the digital is going to continue to grow, but just the same way that social media's come on, and I mean, you look at now, you've got some new platforms coming on board. TikTok's coming on real strong, right? And so it's going to be interesting that the pressure puts on Facebook and Instagram, and I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so much eyeballs, right? And so. Again, in our business, content is king, and it doesn't matter what platform, right? It's all about the content. And
right.
So what we're trying to make sure, we have our 225 app. Most people don't even know this. We were the first business journal in America to launch an e-newsletter. So in 1998, when everybody was going faxes, the old AOL, and
yeah.
People had fax newsletters, we launched Daily Report. And again, what is that? Almost 24, 25 years later, none of the e-newsletters in the state have the open rate that we have. We have over 46% open rate, which the average in the country is between 15 and 20%. And again, that has to do with loyalty. That has to do with content, right? We want to be the first to break the news. We want to be the first to bring it to you. And then trusted sources, right? A source you can trust.
Yeah.
So all those things, are part of the ingredients, right, that makes us unique. And so, you can't ever rest on your laurels, man. We're constantly pushing. And our writers, we're pushing our salespeople, we're pushing our production, our design. We want to get better. What's good to me, good is the enemy of great. And so I think the lowest standard today for most things being delivered is good. And so we don't want to be good.
Yeah,
we want to be the
great.
best at what we do. Exactly. We want to be the
100%.
best at what we do.
Yeah, and so like you saying that the 46% open rate, when someone hears that, they may think that's super low.
Correct.
Because back in the 90s, it was probably a 90% open rate, right?
So I'm talking specifically about the emails that go out with the news. And so again, most in the late 1990s when these were coming out, I mean, there was so many that were just beginning to enter this particular piece of business. And so the longevity, being first really helps. I guess is my point in business. If you're launching a product, if you're thinking about doing something, nobody remembers the second man on the moon, but everybody knows who the first one was, right?
That's
and
right.
So getting to market first, if you can, speed is at a premium today, right? So is news. So again, we want to be the first to break news through any one of our outlets. As a matter of fact, this year in January, we launched 225 Daily because of what you're saying, right? We've got the magazine, but we also have an appetite from our readers to get it more consistently.
Yeah.
And so we've been slowly converting to delivering the type of content for our 225 readers that they want on a more consistent basis. We just used to have 225 Dine 2 days a week because the number one reason people read 225 is for food. That's what our research shows, right? The foodies, where to go eat, recipes. I mean, all the
they want to know what's to eat in
what's hot.
Baton Rouge.
That's right.
What's hot?
That's
Where's the
right.
new restaurant?
That's right.
Why should I go there?
That's exactly right. And so, so instead of just delivering 225 Dine, we're now delivering 225 Daily. So 5 days a week, you can subscribe and it's free. And just go to the 225 website.
I love it. And so how are you able to kind of keep up with that amount of content, right? Because you want, like you said, if you're not the first person, you better be the best person.
That's right.
And so how do you keep up that level of content and still achieve such great things?
It's hard. It's hard.
I feel like it's like an ever uphill battle.
Yes, it
to
is.
get to make that happen.
It is.
You know, because
It
there
really
is, especially during COVID, right?
Yeah.
You know, there is only so much you can talk about until people read the article and say, well, wait, we just read about the same thing last week. Okay, great. They got shrimp on the menu this week. They had crawfish last week. All right, come on, give me something new.
Well, and you bring up a good point, and that's the reason there really is a lot more to talk about in Baton Rouge than people think. And this is where I think our team has done a phenomenal job on the fashion side, on the art side, and I'm talking about everything from performing arts to visual arts, the music, the culinary scene, the recreation scene. I mean, there's a lot more, and I feel it's funny because when people come to Baton Rouge, they really enjoy Baton Rouge, and sometimes it's our own locals that talk negative about the place that we live, and that's one of the things that we're trying to change at 225, change kind of the mindset, because there's really a lot to do,
there's a lot going on,
go.
and you got to get it out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you don't know, I mean, the biggest thing that I've heard from a lot of people in local areas, I didn't know this place existed. Or, I never heard of this place before. What do you do there? You know, if a new place comes to town, they get that initial push. But if you don't read that exact article or that exact thing, and people don't talk about it the way they used to, then how are you going to be able to continue to grow your business, right?
Yep.
And so it's that consistent everyday, this new place, this new place, this new place. And it's giving the businesses a chance to shine, right?
That's right.
Which is huge for them to be able to have stories written about them, have spotlight issues, because that, is essentially the least expensive route for press that they can get without having to, hey, let me take out an ad. It's like,
right.
Oh, wait, let's write about you and let's showcase your story, prove the concept by writing about you. Now you might want to come on board to sponsor.
Yeah.
Right? All the eyeballs you got on you is incredible. So how do you kind of see this digital age of technology and print kind of morphing, but still existing? Is there ever going to be some type of video element to?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
To the business report in 225.
Oh, sure, for sure. Yeah, we actually are in the process of opening up what's called Studio E, and to elevate and excel your brand, and is a big video component to that, both for us internally and for some of the demands that we're getting now for our clients. And we're already doing some of that right now. I think video is going to play a big role, for sure. In so many different ways, even from selling side, lead gens, and there's a lot of new things. I'm laughing because there's some things I don't want to say just yet regarding the video.
There's still some things in the works.
Yeah, that are percolating. But yeah, absolutely. I think video is going to play a huge role. I think it's only going to be getting stronger, and there's going to be more demand for it.
Yeah, especially that interactive video, right? The Facebook Lives or the live streams of something happening, breaking news, and people being able to ask questions on the spot, right? And then being able to have that engagement. I think that's just going to be huge and really, really incredible in the years to come. And even now, people are absorbing more video than ever.
Yep, absolutely.
So kind of starting to get towards the end of the show and wrapping up, we have our little set list of questions. And so the first one we want to start off with is, what are 3 lessons you've kind of learned throughout your career, starting way back from being a low level 335 an hour person to now running these several different product categories?
3 lessons that I'd share. Well, I think probably the first one would be, is that if you win the game on the inside, you'll win the game on the outside. And I think business and life is about having a mindset, and you got to have the right mindset, and you got to have a growth mindset. And so you got to have a game plan to grow. It doesn't just happen.
That's huge, right? Because if you have your mindset of just, all right, we got to get through tomorrow, get through the next week, and just get the work done, but you don't look past it. Like we said before in the beginning, plan for the long term, not for tomorrow.
Yep. I think that would be one for sure. I would also say, I'm trying to teach. I have 3 kids. I have twins that are graduating from high school this year, and they've done a great job. I have my daughter is going to be a senior next year at LSU. And if you were to ask them, one of my, since they were little, I would tell them IQ is important, but it's not the most important thing in life. You better have EQ. You better learn how to communicate, and you better learn how to connect with people. You better learn how to resolve conflict. Those two are important, but they're not the most important. And they go, what?
You just led with those.
The most important is FQ, and that's your failure quotient. Your ability to fall down in life and get back up. Your ability to be disappointed, because what I'm seeing right now, a lot of people can't take disappointment. They fail at the first try, or they fall down at the first try or the second try, and then they give up. But this game of life, this game of business, it's about being relentless. It's about being resilient. And so your FQ is just as important as your IQ and your EQ. And probably the third one, which my mother gave me, I'll give her credit, is that, somebody once said that attitude is everything. I don't think that's right, because you can have a positive attitude, but if you're incompetent, I'm going to fire you, right?
I'm happy to show up for work today. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm happy to be here, boss.
But a positive attitude is the most important thing that we bring to life, that we bring to our coworkers, we bring to our customers, that we bring to life. So I think maintaining and having a positive attitude, and look, a positive attitude, it takes strength of character to be positive. And it's not easy. And sometimes, I've had people, oh, Julio, man, that's all you ever talk about, positive attitude, positive attitude. And do I have rough days? Of course I have rough days, man. But we're not positive because life is easy. We're positive because life can be hard.
Right.
And if you maintain that posture, you're gonna enjoy the journey a lot more. Those will be my three top ones, I think.
I love that. That FQ is huge. I don't know what has led into people just not, having a failure and just wanting to throw their hands up and quit, right? You can't. If you have one failure, you've had, 100 failures too few. Right.
That's right.
You have to continue to fail, but each failure is more of a lesson, is the way I kind of see it. I didn't fail. I just learned a way not to do it.
That's exactly right.
And that's all it is.
See, that's perspective. That's a good mindset. You got the right mindset.
I got one down.
Okay. 100 more to go.
That's it. So what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Oh, that's easy. I wish I could play sports every day. I was good at everything. Great at nothing. But I love sports because it's a great metaphor for life.
Yeah.
And I've watched my kids play. Unfortunately, they have my genes, but I've got one that could have probably played at collegiate level if he didn't have my genes. But the metaphor of life of teamwork, right? Being disciplined, learning how to lose and fail, right?
You're taught failure.
Extract that lesson, right? Learning how to win, right? With character and grace, right? Commitment, right? Conflict, competing. I mean, you got to compete in today's world. So I just love playing sports, and even today I enjoy competing. I'm competitive.
I can hear it. I can hear that.
Even checkers or marbles, I'm competitive. I like to win at everything.
And in my household, there's some board games we just can't play as a couple. Right?
Oh yes.
You gotta know that. What's that board? What's that game we can't play because we both get too competitive?
We used to play Monopoly and we couldn't go to bed until I won.
Yeah. See, that Monopoly's our game too. We can't. It's our divorce game. Right?
Yep, I get it.
We cannot play Monopoly together.
I understand.
But it's and then having that EQ to understand that.
That's
and
right.
being able to say, hey, let's just not play Monopoly, right?
That's right.
So what do you love most about Baton Rouge?
Easy. The people. I love this community. I just, I really wish we could break down all these barriers of black, white, north, south, all this ridiculous stuff that really keeps us from knowing each other more. The people here are so warm, friendly, and it's not like that. And look, I've traveled all over the world. I've traveled all over this country, and you can go to different parts of this country, and people are not just, there's something different. I mean, we're much more family oriented here, and some people say the South, but I would even bring it down tighter. I mean, I think what makes Baton Rouge, and look, it's also can be a source of frustration for some. But at least for me, the friendliness, the warmth of the people, I just love it. I love it.
I've got a neighbor who we run the opposite sides around our block. I have no idea what his name is. I've never met the man, but every morning we always say, "Good morning, how's it going?" You do that anywhere, towards the north side of the country, and you're gonna be like, "Good morning." They're gonna look at you like,
hello.
What are you doing? Why are you waving at me?
That's right.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
That's right.
Okay, so and for the final question is, what can I do to help you?
What you can do is continue to do the show and promote all the positive things happening in the region. I like what you're doing. I remember when you first started, and I like your tenacity, man, and I appreciate what you're doing in the community, and we need positive things like this because again, there's so much negative noise out there, and people need to know in a bunch of different ways. A lot of the good things are happening with a lot of great people in our community. So keep doing this show.
Well, I'll keep doing it one episode at a time. And for those listening, we've got 3 episodes being filmed this week. So it's we got a busy week ahead of us.
Awesome, man.
Well, Julio, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
I really appreciate it. And I want to give a big shout out and thanks to our sponsors, Triton Stone Group, which is a family-run, women-owned company that has a carefully curated selection of stone. If you're into building a new home, you're renovating your home, be sure and give them a call. And let them know that Patty G sent you. They'll take care of you like they do every one of their customers. And to our second sponsor, Falaya Real Estate, they're a local Baton Rouge-based application to sell your home. It's like for sale by owner, but way better, y'all. It's on steroids. They're getting houses, especially in the housing market. Any realtor will tell you they go on the market and the next day they're sold for well over asking price. That's just how hot the market is. And so without further ado, thank you all very much for tuning in, whether it be through Facebook Live or the podcast platforms. I really appreciate it, and I know that the guests do as well. So thank you again, Julio, for coming on.
Thank you, man. It's great to have you.
I appreciate it. And everybody else, I'm Patty G, host of The Patty G Show, and that's a wrap.